Hi, my name is Lisa Silverstone. I'm the Executive Director of Safe Harbors of the Hudson. Thank you for joining us this evening for our online virtual gala and a sneak peek inside the Ritz Theater with our architects. But before I turn you over to them, I just wanted to give you a little bit of history about our historic Ritz Theater. The Ritz was actually built in 1913 as Cohen's Opera House, a 1,200-seat double balcony grand proscenium theater. In 1932, Cohen's was purchased by a Newburgh gentleman named Eugene Levy. And Mr. Levy did some renovations in the theater, changed the name to the Ritz, linked it to the Paramount in New York City, and that's when the theater really hit its stride. Performance greats like Xavier Cugat, Ella Fitzgerald, Tommy Dorsey, Frank Sinatra all performed on the storied stage of the Ritz Theater. And maybe most iconically, Lucille Ball made her debut performance on this stage with her then new husband, Desi Arnaz, 9 days after Pearl Harbor. The theater enjoyed decades of being the star on Broadway until the late 1960s, when it was carved up into a cineplex. All of the historic elements were removed and pretty much destroyed, and they created 4 screens inside the cinema. The cinema had a run for a few years until it closed finally in 1999 and has been shuttered ever since. Safe Harbors is now working to recreate that space as a performance space for audiences of today while keeping the nod to the historic Ritz Theater. So come on, join us. Hi.
Hi there.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
This is our architecture team from DBA, and I'm going to let them take it away and tour you inside the Ritz.
Thank you, Lisa. Really nice to be here. My name is David Burke. I'm owner and principal at DBA.
And I'm Sabine Hassan. I'm also principal at DBA. So here we are inside of the theater space, and one of the interesting things is just the context and the history of the many layers of the theater. So it used to be a manufacturing space. At one time there were cinemas here, and as you look around the space, you see some elements of all of that.
When we first saw the theater, it was really about how do we reconcile what's here and what's happened to it over that long storied history into something new, vibrant, and reinvented. So you have things like this second floor slab that was never here in the first iteration of the vaudeville theater. You have the proscenium arch has been blocked with concrete. How do we perceive the next phase of the Ritz life? During the programming phase, not only did we have to kind of reconcile what this theater could become, but most importantly, it was working with Safe Harbors and reconciling their existing performing arts program, which they have a really vibrant theater program as is. So it was about fitting that program, understanding how it was going to evolve, and then how actually the new theater could address what Safe Harbors wanted to become in the future. And along with Safe Harbors, it was other stakeholders that we engaged in, people around the neighborhood that were doing performing arts. We also spent a lot of time in the conference room talking to prospective theatrical producers and finding out what they might want to use the theater as, so that we could make this place not just about what we thought it could be used for, but also what would be useful for the surrounding neighborhood and the surrounding region. And lastly, the programming phase was really about preparing for the new roof. We knew that we had funding to go ahead with the construction of a new roof, and we wanted to really understand what was going under it, because you can't design a new roof until you really know, especially in theater, how the building will perform in the end.
All right, so we're just going to head upstairs, and you can see some of the new steel that we put in to support the roof earlier last spring. Okay, so here we are at one of the intermediate levels. So this actually used to be a projection booth when this was a cinema house, and so you can see the openings that would project onto the screens down below. So another kind of neat vestige of one of the past histories of the building. Alrighty, so here we are on the upper level of the existing theater space. As you can see, we can still see signs of all of the old history of the building. And so behind us used to be some of the projection screens when this was a cinema. You can see some of the existing steel that was put in support of that cinema, and then you can see the new steel that we put in. Over on this side, you can see the top of what was the original proscenium opening that's now been closed in with block. Over on this side, you can see another one of these projection booths from when it was a cinema house.
We're really trying to consider how we can transform this place into a 21st century theater venue. The first thing that we all agree has got to go is the slab we're standing on. This is the second floor slab, and this splits the entire space from floor to ceiling in half. So the space you're seeing now, although it does seem quite large, imagine it twice the height. With this slab out, we're going to reach heights of 46 to 50 feet high. And that there is an amazing volume to perform almost any kind of theater you'd like. As we'll remove the second floor slab, we will also restore this proscenium opening. It's now filled with concrete blocks. Here's a peek into the stage house.
You can see down below some of the old grating from the heating system, what used to be an exterior wall before there was even a stage house here. So again, just a lot of layers of history, and you can really see all of that inside.
Sabine was saying, so many nice old details in this building. We're always kind of rediscovering them. You notice the joist pockets in the wall here that have been cut that held the old balconies, and the recessed window openings you see that have been filled in with block. We talk a lot about how we're going to make this building more open, more transparent. Well, physically, we're also talking about puncturing this exterior wall, bringing back some of the windows that were here previously. So there's some good examples of where we might be able to bring open daylight into this place.
So late 2018, we began the process of replacing the existing roof, and really we had 4 goals in mind. The first, of course, was to get the building watertight and save this historic structure. We had a couple of other issues that we were trying to tackle at the same time. Namely, we wanted the acoustics of the space to really work for the theater that would one day fill the space. We also had an imperative for sustainability, and so we wanted to make sure that we were redirecting all of this rainwater into this existing bioswale system that is in Safe Harbors Green. Thirdly, we wanted to take any sort of change to the roof line and make sure that it fit into the context of the historic building. So the theater as it exists now is made up of 3 historic buildings that were put together in the early 1900s, and we wanted to make sure that the new roof line that we put in place really respected that history.
This project has really been a series of challenges all the way along. And now that we're into schematic design, you know, we're not faced with any less of those challenges. 2, most importantly, that we're addressing directly in this stage of design is one about connectivity, about connecting different spaces and the different amenities that are all sprinkled around the Safe Harbor campus. The park, stage house, the main venue, the lobby, the entrance, the green room, the park itself. All of those things need to be connected and work well. Second to that, though, I think in some sense more important is to create a theater that works. A theater that can do all the things that Safe Harbor wants it to do.
Among all of these various spaces, we have about 16 different floor levels. We have access from Ann Street, from Liberty Street, from Broadway, and so one of the things that we've been trying to navigate is how do you connect from all of these different sides and make people feel welcome from all parts of the community and be able to move through the different spaces that Safe Harbors has to offer.
So part of that is really understanding where a central lobby might be, where vertical transportation actually happens. You know, where's the elevator? And ultimately, where's the front door? We have a marquee, which traditionally is the front door of the theater, but now we're trying to kind of reinvent that theater experience. And so we've asked ourselves a lot. We've worked very hard with the design team to think about how we could reestablish the front door for the theater. This theater has been blocked up, bricked up, very closed for so many years. And one of the main ambitions really that was given to us through Safe Harbors was about transparency and creating a place that was open, accessible to the surrounding community, but also to the region as well. So one of our main premises here in design is to make this place something that can really be experienced by the local community and everybody who wants to take part in a theatrical experience.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us today for this tour. We've gotten to share with you where we came from, what we've been up to the past few years, and what we're imagining for the future. And keeping the future in mind, we just want to reiterate our passion for this project, our support of Safe Harbors, and we just encourage all of you to support Safe Harbors and all of their wonderful programming for its residents and for its community.
When you support Safe Harbors, you support projects like this. Wonderful project, incredibly passionate about. Join our passion and support us.